you likely have a fear around money and asking for the right type of pay because you don't feel you're worth it. And you know what? No one ever talks about this. I have come to realize in my work that, and especially in my history, that we never really talk about how to ask for what you deserve when you get to your job. Has anyone ever asked you or talked to you or educated you on how to ask for the right pay for your job, when to ask for it, the amount to ask for? Now, granted, HR probably has some sort of guidelines for pay that is associated to a particular job, but really, honestly, no one really spends time talking about the connection between a lack of worth, right? Feeling that you're not worthy of something and asking for the right type of pay. And I want you to really think about that. And I want to lay that out there for a moment. And I want you to think about that. Anybody? Has anyone ever had training before you even got into the workplace on how to ask for what it is that you're worth? So, I want to share a case in point because a lot of times people think that maybe I'm just already, you know, asking people for what it's worth. It was a complete fear of mine. In fact, when I want to take you back to the time where I was got this job to become a global purchasing director at a Fortune 500 company. And the when I went into these interviews, I absolutely knew that there were other people that were making a lot more money than I was. And I really got into this position and I started to think, well, if I get into the job and they see that I'm valuable and they see my work, then they'll go ahead and give me what I am due, right? I was thinking that I have to show the worth of myself before I could actually ask for what I'm worth. I had to prove myself. How many of you have had to do that? You feel like you have to prove who you are, what you are, before you can ask. Where in reality, the reason why I was asked to even interview for the position, to even ask to consider it, was because they thought I was worthy of it. You see where I'm going? So a lot of us are really stuck, stuck with this idea that I don't get to ask for what I'm worth because no one's really told me what I'm worth. You haven't really begun to analyze what you're worth. And so just even asking for money is a big deal. So I want to also talk about the fact that you might have issues with money. A lot of us have issues with money. How many of you know that? So, how many of you in your family talked about money and had negative ties to it? Like, we don't have a lot of money. Quit asking for money. Don't you go asking for that. Don't act like you're trying to get to have that because that's just not what we have in this family. And talk about people that have money in a negative way. So, this whole stigma of money, and I'm going to tell you, especially in the church, that was a negative stigma in the church. And it was almost as if having money and asking for money was a sin to even ask for it. And so there's that negative stigma. So you have the issue of worth, that you're even worth it, but then you have the negative stigma around money. And I know this all too well because of the work that I do in helping corporate women, just even asking for what they're worth. And I'll tell you, with the job that I was interviewing for, the global purchasing director job, it was something that I knew that the company was looking for people like me. Where they were looking for people that look like me. They were looking for people who um, had the ability to be able to take complex issues and be able to resolve and make solutions for them. But I got in my head again that, oh, they're just having me in this position because of the way that I look or because of my skin color, which is a completely false narrative. So, what I knew was that I was worthy of the position, but I just couldn't ask for it. So, what we all have to do is we have to work on renewing the way that you think, getting a new mindset when it comes to the way you are approaching your work, the way you are approaching your worth as it relates to your work, and understanding the value that you bring. Has anyone ever sat down with you and told you about how to create a value proposition for yourself that helps you understand the value that you create, the value that you have just in being you? Of course, it has a lot to do with a number of factors. The way that your years of experience, perhaps, but also more so your story. No one's ever told you that your story and how you've gone through challenges has value. No one has ever told you that the way in which you approach issues and how you talk about them and how you cause solutions to these problems is valuable to you. So, today, what I want to be able to talk about is how we can ask for what it is that we want. Now, every single time I do these lives, I reference the fact that we do weekly content distribution. I am the CEO and founder of the Rise with Diana community, the Rise with Diana consultancy, and the Rise Advocates movement. And we help corporate women find the peace to know that they could be recognized and have accomplishments beyond external validation. And that helps them speak up and advocate for themselves in a way that uses their authentic voice. So every single week, we produce content every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday that correlates to what we help our clients do. And so what we do is we produce these weekly contents. How many of you guys get weekly content from us? You should. Because if you are dealing with money issues, you're dealing with asking for what it is that you know you deserve, you need to be in this community if you are a corporate woman who struggles there. So I want to be able to share that with you. And so I'm going to actually pull out my newsletter to be able to have you guys follow along with me, because I really do believe that we have to get over this deep fear. And so we have to shift from fear to our power that we have in the opportunity to ask for our worth. And a lot of us don't even understand that what you're dealing with is fear, that you're dealing with fear because actually you are abundant. There is abundance that's deep within you. No one ever told me about that I am abundant, that I can ask for whatever it is that I believe that I am worth. Now, I will tell you that I did write my inspiration in my shoes book, and I had a mom who would tell me these things, but it never connected that what she was telling me actually translated to my job, to my workplace, and that it didn't matter who all these people were and their status, their degrees, their level of experience in my worth, in asking for my worth. Do you understand? So when you go to these what seemingly high positions and people who have a lot of big titles and fancy suits and fancy clothes, even working in places like the White House or in your corporation. Once you start to put those people on pedestals as if you are not valuable enough just to even have a conversation with them, you've already lost, because you do not feel that you are worthy of just even having a conversation with them. And I know I'm touching on some very deep points for a lot of people, because we put people on pedestals. We think people, just because they have these degrees, are better than us. And I'm going to tell you that in advocating for your worth and asking for the right type of pay has a lot to do with the fact that you are putting people on pedestals. So I want you to understand that first. In this live today is not going to even scratch the surface of the inside work that you need to do. I am merely going to give you a few points that are going to be able to help you learn what took me almost 20 years to learn. and I have put it into practice. Not only did I put it in my own personal practice, it's what I teach. And so I want to be able to give this to you. So, are you ready for this? Is this something that you're interested in? And if you know of people who have a fear around money or asking for their worth, uh, you need to be able to let them know about this live today. Okay. And at least share the recording. So, the first thing that you have to do is you have to know your value, right? So, I'm going to put on my glasses because I want to be able to read this for you. So, you have to take time to write out a list of your accomplishments. Again, I want you to understand some of your turning point stories. These are stories that you have come to a deep revelation of who you are and where you come from and how you were able to overcome some of the challenges in your life. I want you to write some of those turning point stories down. Those turning point stories have value because if you could take those turning point stories and share how you are a solution maker and how you actually look for solutions with some of the problems if you even experienced in your story, that has value. These are what I like to call your unique contributions to resolving life's issues. So you need to write those down. Of course, all the time, a lot of people focus on mere accomplishments like having a certain degree or having an award and certain skills. Yes, those definitely have value. But where we miss out on is our unique contributions, how we approach life, how we see problems and make solutions. That has value. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to write out your value. The second thing that I want you to do is I want you to practice talking to someone about all the things that you do. You know, a lot of people like talking about themselves. This is a fact. People love, and this is what psychologists always say, we love talking about ourselves, but we don't like advocating for ourselves. Mm, there's a difference, right? Because sharing that we actually have value, sharing that what we contribute to the world is amazing. So you have to practice going through the ask. You have to practice talking about your value. What I always tell people to do, pick up your phone, find your notes, find the notes that you have, and record yourself. You need to be recording yourself and talking about the value that you have and then practicing the ask. I really always don't even call it an ask. I always say a statement, right? Put out the statement. This is what I know I'm worth. What is it that you all actually have budgeted for this position? This is what I'm worth, and this is where they might say where we're at. But I always practice the ask, practice the value conversation. And then when you get into that, you are going to be able to have some references and some how you can hear yourself speaking because oftentimes you don't really realize that the inclination and the depths of your voice and how it goes up and down has impact. And so you need to rehearse this. So that's the second thing that I would do. The third thing that I would do is I would practice reframing my mindset. So what I mean by that is asking, and I'm going to read my notes here, is asking for pay isn't about selfishness. It's about fairness to you. You're not just asking for money, you're advocating for what it is that you deserve. And so I really want you to take the frame that you may have the mindset of money and reframe that to your worth. Reframe that to what it is that you believe is valuable and fair. And go ahead and let other people share. Oh, who does she think she is coming in here asking for that? Or what is she crazy? Didn't she see that this is how much this job pays for? Okay, go ahead and let them say that. It doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. You have to know your worth. And You might even say, maybe this position isn't for me. Maybe I do need to find a position that is going to be more valuable to me. Once you start reframing the way that you think about yourself and the way that you walk, the way that you live, the way that you are, you understand your value is much, much more. Now, I have to give you another personal experience because I know people who will go out and ask for speaking engagements and they will ask a certain amount of money for what it is that they believe they're worth. You have other people who are like, they're crazy. I wouldn't pay that. And so the person that is sitting in my seat would say, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and ask for that because that's what I believe I'm worth and I believe I'm valuable to that. And I'm going to go on and say that, brands like Gucci and Prada and all these other high level brands didn't really think about, maybe I should, or maybe they did, but where they're going to value themselves in the marketplace. And so you have to decide because whatever you believe is the truth, right? So your truth is the truth. Whatever you believe is the truth about you is the truth. And so I would love it if I would have loved it if someone would have taken time to coach me on this early in my career. And for those of us who are much more seasoned in our careers, we have often been devaluing ourselves and we become resentful because of it because we feel people are taking advantage of us. When I'm sorry, sis, what happened to you was no one ever told you how to value yourself. No one ever shared with you the beautiful contributions that you have beyond just the skills that you have. There's a lot more to your value proposition than what you've been told. And I'm here to break it to you. It's time for you to start valuing your worth. It's time for you to start asking for what it is that you believe that you deserve. And this is the work that we do. So I want to have you, I'm going to close this live unless someone has some questions. Oh, I got to check the chat. Who's in my chat here today? Hey, Joshua, sorry, I can't tune in long. Okay, well, thank you for coming in. So I want to say, I want to ask you these three things. What's actually holding you back from asking for the right pay? Good morning. What's actually holding you back from asking for the pay? Write it down. Is it your fear? Is it your doubt? Is it because you just don't know what to ask for? Get clear on what's holding you back. All right. The second thing is I want to ask you is how do you view money? Do you view money as a tool? View money as a tool to grow and empower others? So I view money as a tool to help me grow, and to help value others. I have the right perspective of money and why I need it, right? Because I don't need any more fancy things. I don't need a big yacht or whatnot. I don't know why I say yacht, but what I know I want to do with it, I have certain things that I value, but I also know that I need to have it to make more contributions on this earth, right? To serve. And lastly, I want you to look at money on how you can model it for confidence as a woman. Like model it. I think that often a lot of people have the wrong perspective of money. So they view money as I'm gonna be rich and do all these kinds of things and you know, use it as a from a pleasure. And I think that there's beautiful opportunities that money can provide pleasure. But usually, when money provides mere pleasure, it actually results in more pain for a lot of people. But when people view money as an opportunity to love themselves and to love others, money is used as the beautiful tool to help others. So this is where I want us to reframe things. Now, you might have listened to today's live and said, I don't know. I don't know if this relates to me. or you might be sitting here going, this 100% is all of me, then I would love us to connect. I would love us to be able to connect. If you want to connect with me and talk about how we can get better at asking for what it is that you know that you are worth. Does it sound like a plan? The first thing that I would do if I were you, I would make certain that you are on our weekly distribution. I'm going to put a link in here for you to be able to sign up for our weekly content distribution. And then also, too, if you want to schedule a one on one with me, then let's have a conversation because God forbid you go into the next uh, meeting or the next, I guess, salary review and you haven't even done your homework, but you're still mad and upset because you feel like people aren't valuing you. Okay. Well, I'm just going to tell you that you need to spend time doing that for yourself and you might need some help. And this is what I can help you do. So let's take time, get yourself on our weekly content distribution, and then make certain that you tune in to these weekly lives. Typically, I go live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 9 a.m. on LinkedIn and YouTube. Tune in, let's have conversations, let's get to know one another. And again, I help corporate women find the peace to know that they have recognition and accomplishment beyond external validation. Why? So that they can speak up and advocate for themselves and ask for their worth. This is what we are all about in the Rise with Diana community. If this sounds like something you're interested in, get on our mailing list, get our weekly content, let's get a conversation. And thank you so much for tuning in today. We'll talk to you.